Hello, and welcome to this second round taste challenge. Not going to be able to do it Sunday, October 29th. So we'll do round two, second taste challenge, Saturday, October 28th, 2017. I mean, I probably could do it Sunday, but it's too much going on. I don't want to do it. It's too inconvenient. Today is convenient. I'm going to talk to Lance Bell. I did figure out a way to send invites, direct invites. I figured it out. It's not as easy, but it's not particularly difficult either. So I was very happy to see that this could be done. And I invited a few people. I don't expect them to join. It's morning time, but I sent it just, to do it. Let's see what happens as a test more than anything to see if it would go through, which I suspect it did. I saw no indication that it did not go through. Well, now we did the bourbon except for Barton, very old Barton. I still have this 700, the 375 milliliter bottle of very old Barton, which I want to go through all the bourbons, except for the Evan Williams. Oh yeah, and I forgot to write the review for Early Times. We'll get to that. Well, that's hardly important, right? But Evan Williams Green Label is gone. I used it all. I'm not buying any more. Used it. Well, I drank it. But today, daytime. Oh well, let me tell you, it's so cloudy. It's so chilly. It's so damp. I was walking half a mile and I said, oh, there's no way. I wanted to go to the Southeastern game tonight, Southeastern Louisiana versus Sam Houston State University. If Southeastern wins tonight, they're going to almost assuredly get a playoff invitation to the division, NCAA Division I FCS playoffs. But Sam Houston State is so powerful. I don't know what's going to happen. The game might be sold out. I didn't see that too many tickets were available, but it's so cold, chilly, damp. I was like, I don't want to sit out there in that. I'll wait till the 16th of November when they play Nicholls State University, another big matchup. So I think I did get a free ticket and a parking pass for the Unpatriotic Football League tomorrow. And that's probably what's going to happen. The Chicago versus New Orleans game. I'm not a big rah-rah fan to go sit out there and say, yay, go, I love you, Saints. When I was 15, yes. Now I just sit there and look around and say, okay. The NFL honestly attracts the NFL attracts a bad element. So I just go watch it. Hello, John and Neely. I'm getting ready to do a taste challenge.
Okay, yeah, I saw a notification pop up on my screen, so I didn't realize that you were doing this.
Yeah, okay. I was mainly doing that as like a test because we had this problem that we weren't able to send direct invites, but I found a way around that where you can still do it. So I'm going to talk to Lance DeLush and say, look, there's a way to do it. I'll show you how.
Okay, yeah, this is all still new to me because I was using my phone and my laptop before this, so now I'm using my desktop computer. So
there is a way, but don't feel compelled to hang out here if you don't. I mean, you're welcome to. I didn't send the invite.
What are you about to do a taste challenge on?
Okay, folks, get ready. Seagram 7 Crown, which we're examining in a few days. Introduced in 1934, 80 proof, blended at a 75 to 25 ratio, versus Beam's 8-star.
Wow.
Introduced in 1976, 80 proof, distilled and bottled in Kentucky by Beam-Suntory, of course. And then this is a product of Indiana. And from my information, from my research, it has always come from the same distillery in Lawrenceburg, Indiana since 1934. You look at the old advertisements from the 1930s, and it's saying Indiana, Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Okay. that was the huge Seagram's distillery back then. It's no longer owned by them, of course, because the company no longer exists. It's Midwest Grain Products. The Seagram's brand for whiskey was bought by Diageo. Seagram's VO, the Seagram's VO Gold, and the whole Crown Royal line, which is enormous, was bought by Diageo in 2000 when Seagram's collapsed. Coca-Cola swooped in and bought up Seagram's ginger ale. You know that. You've seen that around, Seagram's ginger ale. And other companies bought up the other Seagram's various, like North American breweries bought the Seagram's coolers, you know, and they call it Seagram's Escapes now, the flavored beers. So let's check it out. Now, you know, if you want to say anything, feel free to talk. I'm not too.
Well, I've had both the Seagram 7 and the Beam's 8-star. I've never done a taste comparison, so this will be very interesting. I think they're probably, correct me if I'm wrong, but well, the Beam's 8-star is also a blended whiskey. Is that correct?
Yes, and it used to be just like Seagram's. It was almost a mimic of Seagram's. It was 75-25, but it's been knocked back to 80-20.
Right. Before I started, no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now, so that's the minimum to be a blended whiskey. If you get below 20%, then it's called spirit whiskey, which is what they use for Southern Comfort. Okay, but what now?
I was going to say, I've actually, the Beam's 8-star was not available at any of the stores that I had gone to, but I was able to order it. I put in a request for it, and I think you did the same thing. It wasn't available directly in your area, and you made a request at one of your local stores, and they were able to order a bottle for you.
Yeah, it was not available in this town, but it was available 25 miles east of here. But they only had the big plastic bottles, which they sell an incredible amount of. Okay, so it's a good steady seller for people that make mixed drinks. Okay, but I asked the manager of a store here. I said, "You ever heard of Beam's 8-star?" No, he never heard of it. I said, "Well, man, I wish I could get that a glass bottle." Oh, I'm gonna check on that. So a few hours later, he called me. He said, "Oh yeah, we can get that." And then 2 days later, there it was, $7.99 a bottle, no upcharge. They just sent it. So that means somebody around here is selling these bottles. Now, who is it? I don't know.
It's a very cool label design, I think.
And it's not the original label. If you look on whiskey.com, no, scratch that, liquor.com, they sell old unopened, they sell thousands of unopened liquor bottles. And I mean, they might have stuff 70 years old. Of course, you're going to pay for it, you know, but never open. All their stuff's never open. But they showed the old label was black. It's a different design. Now, I never have been able to figure out what is the 8-star.
Yeah, I tried to look it up myself because I was watching a few of your videos where you weren't really sure, and it is, it remains a mystery. I don't think anybody knows what it means.
Yeah, 8-star brand. Now, this is why I think it's a mimic, so to speak, because here we have Seagram's 7 Crown, right? Get it? Now, what is the significance of 7 Crown? I don't know. This is a new label, you know, the foil label. They finally updated the label last year. They used to have the old, it's a textured layer though. You can feel all the.
Yeah, I think the American is new on there as well. I think we were talking about that before. I don't recall it saying American on the label before.
No, I can clear that up. I was at International Market last week, and they have all kind of old bottles. It's almost like a salvage store. They go around and buy stuff from other out of business places, and you might find bottles unopened from 10, 12, 20 years ago. They had the old labels of Seagram 7 Crown, and it said American. It was just smaller.
Oh, okay. So it's more prominently displayed on the label now.
Yeah, because I think they want to differentiate that from the Canadian, the VO Canadian.
Right.
So I don't know what 7 Crown is supposed to be. People said it started in Canada. Actually, that's not correct. The old Seagrams was from Canada. Then around 1909, 1911, they came out with the Seagrams VO, which was the very old. No one knows what VO stands for. Seagrams never said what it stood for, but we assume it's very old.
Actually, if you look it up now, and maybe not directly on their website, but it does say very old on several of the different websites. So that could just be speculation, not official. I'm not sure, but that is a general, the general consensus is that it stands for very old. So
yeah, I think it's more speculation. But in 1998, they came out with the Seagrams VO Gold, which is a more like elevated quality Seagrams blended Canadian whiskey. I'd like to get a hold of that. They have it on sale sometimes, $22 a bottle. It's got a little ribbon on the neck. It's kind of nice looking. Now, I did find this out. Back in the 1930s, they had Seagram's 7 Crown. But they also had a companion called Seagram's 5 Crown, which was 75-20. The 7 Crown back then was like 65-35. It was more pure whiskey. So I see what they did. They got rid of the 5 Crown and made the 7 Crown the 5 Crown. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So in other words, they took the 5 Crown and priced it up, but kept that recipe. And now they don't have, and they might have used the old better quality 7 Crown for the VO Gold. I don't know, but I know that they did like a little bait and switch, because you can no longer get the 5 Crown. I say that, but you know how these companies put out brands that no one knows about, but then you see it on the shelf, right?
right.
But so anyway, Beam's 8 Star is very obscure for most people. 7 Crown, I mean, every liquor store in the world sells that, I guess. I think they're going to be more similar than different. I thought that 7 Crown might have some kind of numerology significance, like from Kabbalah. Kabbalahism, you know, the Jewish esoteric system. I don't know if you know anything about that, but I couldn't really find out. I know that the old lampstand was 7.
Right. The Jewish, yeah, I am aware. I mean, I'm not very familiar with it, but I do know that, yeah, the numerology plays a huge part in Jewish tradition. And
the Bromfeld family, who bought Seagrams from Joseph Seagram, when he died, his family didn't want the company. So the I'm trying to think of their name. The Bromfeld family from the Russian Empire, they were Jewish immigrants. They bought the company and kept it until it collapsed in 2000. I mean, I'm just saying, could have had something to do with that, because I mean, what is 7 Crown? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And
maybe they realized that a lot of people were mixing it with 7-Up, and they thought it would just sound better if they changed the name to 7 and call, hey, let me have a 7 and 7. I mean, who knows?
No, but it was called 7. It was called 7 Crown from its inception. That's the thing. And
right. Well, that's a good point.
And I don't know. It is the Bronfen family. That's right, the Bron. And also, there was a lot of organized crime connections with that family. I have to say, the Canadian government put them under almost like a ban for a while, because they caught them illegally importing whiskey into the United States, or if you want to call it bootlegging.
Right.
The Bronfen. Okay, Adam Kennedy says, love watching your videos this early. Hey, I love the fact that you're watching them. John Red Barley says, NCAA feels more real to me than NFL. Yeah, and you know what? I would love to see the NFL get rid of their rule about having to go to college first. Just let them go straight to the NFL, straight to the NBA, because it's a sham. The whole thing is a sham. They're not going to college to learn. They do their 1 year in college, then they go straight to the NBA. They have no interest in college. Why make them go through that? If they want to go to college, these are adults, they can go to college. If they don't want to go, and then you would have collegiate universities, athletics would be purely people who want to be there. Or maybe they got overlooked by pro football or basketball. But, you know, you don't make them go. All this business about, oh, you got to have a tutor following them around and calling them on the phone and making sure they wake up for class. Look, if you're going to college and somebody has to wake you up to go to class, something's telling me you probably are not college material, but that's just mine. You know. And they got to tutor you and show you how to read. I mean, come on now. And then we have all the scandals where you find out that the tutors were the ones actually taking the exams, doing the coursework. That's just my feeling. Just separate it. Let college be college and pro be pro. Instead of making the NCAA be an NFL farm system, you know what I mean? I have them well mixed. They're both amber, right? This one to my right, in my right hand might be your left, is darker amber than this one, though.
Yeah, the way you're holding it does look like the one in your right hand is a little bit darker.
That makes me think right now, take off this college hat. That makes me think right now that that is the Seagram's, because I think it's a little darker, but from experience. But I don't know. Let's taste it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Well, you can't taste it. You can only watch me taste it. All right.
I'll tell you what, while you're doing that, I will do a taste challenge of the 1792 that I was talking about earlier. I bought a bottle for $23.99. I believe it's a $50 or $60 bottle, but it was marked down, so of course I couldn't resist buying a bottle.
That's strange. Now, that's strange that it'd be so cheap. Now, these blended whiskeys, they're a whole lot different than bourbon, people. And I want to say this real fast. I got a friend of mine. He likes to, he's not a heavy drinker, but he'll drink. You know. He likes to go to games with me. So he came over almost a month ago to go to a game. And I said, you want to try this 8-star? Oh, he doesn't know anything about liquor. He doesn't care about it. He's not going to sit there and look it up on the internet. So he tried it. Oh, man, it's great. He loved it. I give it an A. I give it an 8. I said, okay. So then last Saturday, I said, try this old Granddad Bonded. Oh, Lord. He said, it's so strong. I don't know about this stuff. Me drank it all, but he said, oh, it's. I said, well, what do you prefer, the 8-star or the old Granddad Bonded? Well, you know, the Granddad Bonded is about 3 times as much in price. Oh, the 8-star is much nicer to me, you know. So there's an example. Everybody does not love bourbon over this stuff. So,
and a lot of people like bourbon, but they don't necessarily like the high rye mash bill that you get with the old Granddad. That throws me off sometimes as well. The spicy, peppery note that you get with those high rye bourbons.
Right, and I don't think he'd ever had anything like that. So that might have thrown him for a loop, you know. Okay, well, I'm going to taste these and then you can do yours. The aroma here is some vanilla, some wood, but it's faint. Some whiskey and a lot of alcohol burn in the nose, honestly. It's very mellow, though, and there's nothing rough in the sniff. It's just like, you know, just smooth. Now, over here. Very similar, very similar. Maybe, and this is a maybe. There may be more caramel, but I really do think they were trying to make a mimic because they're so close in the aroma. But now I'll let you have the floor for a few minutes on that Barton 1792.
Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, I normally don't splurge on really expensive bourbons, but this was at a discounted price, so I couldn't resist it. So in the in the nose, you get a lot of sweetness and a lot of wood. I guess that charred oak. So it's definitely, and it's actually, I don't know if it's different per batch, like a lot of some of these higher end bourbons are, but it is 46.85% alcohol by volume, 93.7 proof. So I'm sure that varies a little bit per batch, but the aroma is very pleasant. You want to go ahead and do the taste, or you want to?
Yeah, you may as well go, and then I'll focus on this taste challenge. When I tried that stuff at the distillery, it was mighty fine. I gotta say that.
Yeah, very. Initially, you get some sweetness, and then you get a lot of that wood presence, a lot of that oak, which makes me think that it was aged for quite a while. There's no age statement on this, which, as you said in many of your videos, it doesn't have to have an age statement.
If it's above 4 years old.
If it's right, if it's above 4 years. So this is obviously at least 4 years. And it's named 1792 after the year Kentucky joined the United States, which is interesting.
Right. Became a state in 1792.
Right. Very pleasant. It's got a lot more boldness, a lot more character than some of the other stuff we've had in you know, some of the examinations that we've done in the past. But it's very smooth for such a high proof bourbon. I mean, I just poured a little bit, but as you can see, it doesn't, I mean, it just goes down very smoothly. You would never guess that it was 93.7 proof. It's just as smooth as the Evan Williams and some of the other cheaper bourbons that we've tried, but it does have more character at the same time, which is interesting because it's kind of like, you know, if you have more of that character, a lot of times it can be a lot more harsh as well, but this kind of balances the extra character while keeping the smoothness throughout the finish. So
now I want to ask you an honest question. You give it a high rating, of course.
Yes, I would give it. I mean, I don't typically rate on a scale, but I would give this one an A.
But for $24, it's a great bargain. But would you actually pay $60 for it?
Not on a regular basis. Maybe for like a special occasion or a party or something. Like if I was looking for something a little bit higher end that was, you know, gonna maybe turn some heads, I would go for this. But typically, no. But for 23, if you can find it for $23.99, you can't beat that. But yeah, normally I would not pay that. If you want something that's pretty good, go with Evan Williams or Canadian. Well, Canadian Club's a mixed, but go with Ancient Age, Evan Williams, something along those lines, because it's going to be a lot cheaper and the quality is good. It doesn't have as much character, but it's still, for, you know, for the money, it's going to be hard to beat something like that.
Well, I love the Canadian. I love the Canadian Club, and starting to echo. Launch your music first.
Okay.
See what happens. Yeah, there was a little feedback. We've been seeing that cropping up in our hangouts lately, across the board. Lance had that problem. It just shows up sometimes. I like the Canadian Club a lot, and I've noticed that Winn-Dixie over here, they've got the special gift pack that I saw last year. It's a bottle, a 750 milliliter bottle of Canadian Club with a beautiful glass for $11.99. I think Walmart had it for $10.99, but $11.99 for that is a great deal. It's $12. The half size bottle, the 375, is exactly $6. So it's the same price either way you cut it. But I was almost tempted to buy it, but then I said, no, I've got so much back stock. I don't need more glasses. So I just passed, but I got, you know, you're tempted to buy it. But I'm going to do the taste challenge, and we'll cut it back on and see if the echo problem's still there. It probably will go away. Okay, taste challenge. Yeah, it's definite wood. Oh, and talking about age, this Beams 8-Star uses, it says right here, they use straight whiskeys that are 2 years or more old. Well, 2 years is very young, so they're just not aged long. The Seagrams, interestingly, is saying nothing about an age statement. Well, that means that the whiskey in here is aged at least 4 years. And then they're using that pure grain alcohol, the rectified spirits from that facility, because Midwest Grain Products is the biggest supplier of the grain neutral spirits, I think, in the United States, maybe the world, one of the biggest. And so a lot of companies have contracts with them to buy base, not just grain neutral spirits, base gin, base. And they have a list of what they sell on their website. You want to get a 4-year bourbon, a 6-year bourbon, an 8-year bourbon, a 12-year bourbon, and they'll buy it, or these other bases, and then they'll ship it down to Kentucky or whatever, and they'll blend it, or Tennessee. And if you look at those bottles of those craft whiskeys or gins, it'll say bottled in Tennessee, but you'll notice it doesn't say distilled in Tennessee. That's a tip-off that it more than likely is coming from MGP in Indiana. But these are very clearly marked. The 8-Star says distilled and bottled in Kentucky. So it's straight from Kentucky. This here bottle, Seagram's, says blended and bottled by the Seven Crown Distilling Company, Norwalk, Connecticut. Notice it doesn't say distilled. It says blended and bottled. Where is it distilled? Well, it's distilled in Indiana, where it's always been distilled, at MGP. I would assume, because that's where it's always come from. Now, over here. There's wood, but it's almost like toothpick wood. You know, it's like a toothpick. There's sweetness. The little bit of dried flowers, a little bit of candied fruit, all that, but it's all very muted. It's so low profile. Some people might even say, you know, if you're drinking like I did bourbon first, right, this morning, then you go over to the blended. You really, it's best to do blended first, then bourbon. But if you go with the blended, then you're saying, well, there's no flavor. It's very muted. So it's very muted. Nothing off, nothing unpleasant, just not a lot of anything. Okay, good, fine. I'm going to save a little in case I have to write a review. Yeah, that one there has more wood character without a doubt. So I'm going to make the choice now. I'm going to say that this one is the Seagram's and this one is the Beams, because I think the Seagram's has a little more character, a little more flavor than the Beams 8-Star. Now, back when I did the early version of the Beams 8-Star over at that store over there, I bought a bottle and it was the 75-25. It had a lot richer flavor, just with that little percentage change. But that's all kind of gone away. So maybe I could find a bottle of that at international market, but I'm not worried enough about it to do it. I'm not going to go pay for that. But I'm going to call it. I think this is the Seagram's. So let's see. Well, I'm going to feel funny if I get it wrong, but I think it is. Well, hey, folks, they got a lot of good videos on YouTube right now. You might want to go watch them. You're missing them. Don't spend your time with me, I mean, pay no mind to that man behind the curtain. So, how you doing, John?
Well, you know, both of these products are very similarly made and aged, and you have that, you know, that whiskey base, and you know, it's you can't be so hard on yourself with stuff like this. It's not like the Evan Williams in the early times, which you so clearly could differentiate between this morning.
Yeah. I just sit there talking about the char and the noticeable difference, and I'm saying this is Seagram's, but I mean, this has got me really concerned though.
These are more similar than they are dissimilar, though.
Okay, but I feel really strange because this one is aged 4 years or more. The whiskey in it.
Right.
This is 2-year young, like people would call it street trash. But it is from Beam, Jim Beam, not a company that started distilling last week either. They kind of know what they're doing, you know. Jim Beam, you might have heard of them. I can't get over it. I'm like flabbergasted, really. Now that makes you want to get the 8-star even more, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Look, I did not cheat, okay? And I'm telling, okay. I mean, right off the bat, you can taste that charred wood. It's so obvious. Over here, you know, you buy a little packet of the 1,000 toothpicks, and you're picking your teeth and you're chewing on it. That's what it's. There's no char in it. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Now I'm really worried about Wednesday night when we do the Seagram 7 crown. I don't know how that's going to work out. Well, people, you never know until you try it. And like I always say, you got to try a blind taste test because you just don't know. And I'm a little shook up right now, but okay, this is the Seagrams. It had a lot less. It had a lot less flavor than the Beam's 8-star. This is $7.99 a bottle. This is about $12 a bottle. So we're talking about $8 a bottle, $12 a bottle. If I'm paying $4 more a bottle, why am I getting 40% less flavor? That is a problem to me in my booklet. But I got to put it up against the other blended. You know, I don't know. I got a whole bunch. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's strange. Any last word? I mean, I don't know. I can't wait for you to get that Beam's 8-star and try it because it's got me concerned. You know, I mean, I'm not like really concerned, but you know, it's like confusing. You know,
I'll have to make a special request for it again. I'll have to get me another bottle, but I can get it in my area. They just don't keep it in stock at most of the stores here. So, but the Seagram 7 is everywhere.
Yeah, I'm smelling it straight out the bottle now. When I'm smelling it, I'm getting a lot of sourness, like a sourdough. And I know neither one of these is sour mash, but it's weird, you know. Let me smell that. I'm not going to drink them out the bottle. I'm not one of these hooch swillers. But let me. Yeah, you know what? That 8-star that Beams does, if you smell it straight from the neck, it has a lot more woody thing coming through. I don't know. I can't explain it, but
could just be that, you know, American versus Canadian.
Yeah, but the Seagrams is from America. You know, Indiana. That's America, Indiana, right?
Right. I mean, I guess I mean like the process could be a little bit different. I mean,
wait, right. Joseph Seagram started this in America, but who's to say, well, not him, but the company, he died in 1920 something. But who's to say they didn't bring a Canadian process?
Right.
Or I should say process, if we're talking about Canada. Who's to say they didn't bring a Canadian process to Indiana that would reflect more of the Canadian flavor. So now it could be that. I don't know. Now, I will say this. If you've never had the 8-star and you see it, I would highly recommend getting it, because then it could really throw you for a loop like it just did me. On its own, but when you pair them up, that's why I like to do these taste challenges. When you pair them up, boy, you discover some things you never dreamed you'd discover. Oh boy, oh boy. Well,
those whiskey bases too could react differently when the neutral grain spirits are added in as well. I mean, maybe there's a chemical reaction or something. Who knows?
yeah, and then like the U.S. government says on their website, the grain neutral spirits are supposed to be odorless and flavorless. They're not supposed to have any flavor. But
that's by themselves, though. I mean, when you mix it with something else, who's to say that there's not some kind of reaction there, and some kind of different flavors are imparted depending on what the base is that you're using.
Right. Notice what I just said. Not supposed to have.
Right. Yeah.
That doesn't mean they won't. But I mean, it's really fascinating more than anything. It's not like all that me saying it's troubling. All that's more like just like acting. You know, it's like me putting on like fake dramatics. But for entertainment purposes. But it is fascinating. Now, Tyler Mansell. Oh, hey, Tyler, I saw you join last night. You didn't stay long. Lance passed out live last night. I saw that. Then he woke up and kept chatting. I saw that. That was a different way to do it. Good taste challenge, John and Jay. Thank you. So now I'll be chomping at the bit. Believe me, believe you me, believe me you. I'll be chomping at the bit for maybe next week on Tuesday, perhaps, to do the Seagram 7 versus oh, you know what I'll do it? Against Carstairs. That's an old brand from 1939. Carstairs Red Seal, White Seal, Carstairs White Seal. And like the old ads used to say, the man who cares buys Carstairs. But today that would be the man who cares can't even find Carstairs. Cold Since 92 says, so are the base whiskeys for Seagrams and Beams different? I mean, yeah, they're different, because it's saying here that the 8-star is aged only 2 years or more, but probably more like 2 than the or more part, right? And then the Seagrams is not even given an age statement, which means it has to be at least 4 years. Maybe one uses a rye whiskey and the other uses a bourbon. Yeah, it's possible, but I didn't taste any kind of rye. I'll be honest, no kind of rye. And let's take this into account now. And I think this could be the most important factor. What is Jim Beam? It's a bourbon. It's aged in oak, charred oak. Now, look, you're a big company, Jim Beam, right? They're not going to sit there and make their own special bourbon for this 8-star, right? What are they going to do? They're going to take some barrels that's been aged in 2 years, just regular old Jim Beam. They're going to pull them out, blend it with the rectified spirits, and make 8-star. Wouldn't that make the most sense?
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely.
But even after 2 years, you're getting that charred white Kentucky oak. Now, what are they doing up there at Seagram's? Oh, I'm sorry, MGP. Well, they never made bourbon anyway, right? Never bourbon. It never had to be in charred oak barrels in the first place. Might be Asian oak. Nobody ever said it had to be charred oak. Ah, now I'm starting to pin it down just from thinking it out. The oak's probably not charred. It's just oak. And they can use them for gin. They can use them for any of those things, and it's not charred, and it won't impart that char flavor that's going to throw the gin off. Now, to me, that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, that does make sense. And then also, you were talking about the color as well. It would be darker. The darker color would mean that you're getting more of the char. So which of the two had the darker appearance?
When I first poured them, I'd have to go watch the playback. I thought the Seagrams was darker, but you know, I don't know. But wow, that's really something.
I think, if I remember correctly, actually the Beam's 8-star was the one that you said had the darker appearance.
Oh yeah.
I could be mistaken, but
see, I can't use it. I can't do this because this one is a brown bottle and this one's clear, so that wouldn't work. Oh well. Oh well. Hey, that's why we do these things, you know. But I'm gonna get off this, and I have to do. I'm gonna do a solo sit-down review of Budweiser Amber Lager because you know, I did the release party video.
Right.
That was just kind of like kookiness, you know. And somebody said, "I watched your video. That was kind of different." I said, "Well, you know, it was a release party. It was supposed to be kind of wild."
You did give it a rating though, and I'm excited. I mean, you said it was excellent. I will be going to the store here shortly to see if I can find it. And I'm curious. There was somebody. It might have been one of the comments left under the video, but asking if it had any similarities to the Busch Signature Copper Lager. Did you notice any similarities, or was it a different beast altogether?
Yeah, what he said was that he said it's just a rebranded Busch Signature. They put a different label. I said, no way.
Right.
There's no way. That, and I can't do a side by side because
right,
the Signature is gone. But that Signature was more brown. It was lower alcohol by 0.4%. It had more of a toasted flavor in the malt, and the Budweiser Amber is a sweeter, more syrupy, glutinous taste. I don't think, no, they're not the same. No way. Now,
it sounded like it was more the Budweiser, the pre-Prohibition 1933 that you had yesterday. It also sounded from your description that it was more hoppy as well. Is it a hoppier beer?
yes.
And what are the IBUs?
I don't know, but I'm going to drink some today, and I think the IBUs could be almost into the mid-20s.
Which is high for a lager beer. I mean,
yeah, for a Budweiser. Now here's what I forgot to show last night. Killarney's red lager. See this? You see, Anheuser-Busch, like Anheuser-Busch has been making red lagers for a long time, but nobody knows about them. Here's one. It was like an Irish style, you know, but it wasn't made in Ireland. But this thing, I don't know the ABV. I think it was around 5%. But this was on the market for a week and a half.
Oh, it was that short-lived? I thought it was out long.
I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it wasn't long.
Okay.
And look, oh yeah,
very similar to the Killian's label.
That's what it was trying to mimic. Oh, mute your thing for a moment before we get off because you're starting to echo again. And I don't know. Look, there is still an amber lager from Anheuser-Busch that you can find in some states. It's called Rolling Rock Amber Lager. And my friend Elwin that I was telling you about that preferred Beam's 8-star over the old Granddad Bonded, I said, you want to try? I said, Elwin, you want to try this Rolling Rock Amber Lager? Well, of course, he said, yeah. Kansas City Southern Railroad. He said, that's the best beer I've ever had in my life. I said, come on now, Elwin, you've had a lot of good beer. He said, no, I loved it. I got to buy me a 6-pack immediately. Well, you know, we asked the distributor. They said, get lost. We don't sell it in Louisiana. We're not going to sell it in Louisiana. I said, well, this man loves it. So that was fascinating. And so Anheuser-Busch has sort of a little hidden history of producing red lagers. I mean, heck, they produced a Budweiser Bock, a Dunkel Bock back in the 1950s. By all means, I mean, you know, believe it or not. Tyler said, I'll try to find 1933 too. Yeah, I would recommend that with no reservation. I can't wait to review it in a few minutes. I'll kill P30 People 3, whatever that is. He says 10 high is better than Beam's 8-star. Hey, you know what? Guess what? I got a bottle of 10 high in my cabinet and I've never opened it. 10 high, another one of those iconic blended bourbons in the cabinet. Okay, last comments, John, and then we're shutting this off.
I'll just defer to you. I mean, this was your taste challenge. I didn't have either one to really compare, but it sounds like from the challenge that these can be easily confused if you haven't had them many occasions, because I mean, you know, they are made using the same process, but I guess maybe the Canadian process and the American process is what the differing or what caused the confusion at the end there. I don't know.
I think Beams uses a process, and I think Seagram's uses a process.
Exactly.
And I think that's the root of the problem, if you want to call it a problem. Here's what I will say. I've tried the Barton 1792. I highly recommend it. For $7.99 a bottle, or about $15.99 for the big jug, $16.99 for that big 1.75 milliliter, that huge thing there. This cannot be discounted. I don't mean on price, I mean on your attitude towards it. I would recommend it. For something this inexpensive to have that much of a charred, woody flavor, I'm telling you, people, this is not something to. Now, you know, Jim Beam, that company might be embarrassed. They don't list it on their website. They're like ashamed of it, although they've been making it for 41 years. I would recommend it. Is it going to change your life? No. Is it going to alter the way you view bourbon and whiskey? I don't think so, but it is something to check out. Seagram 7, I don't know. I got a lot of thinking to do now, but I mean, you know, I did get my $7 rebate.
Can't beat that.
I bought the Seagram 7 Crown and the VO, and just together for the regular price, it wasn't exactly expensive, but I got a $7 check just a few days ago. So when you get those rebates, use those rebates. They say wait 6 to 8 weeks. Nah, it's more like 3 weeks to a month. It doesn't take long to get the rebate. All right, enough silliness aside. All right, well, join us in the future, people, for more exemplary alcoholic beverage adventures. And that's it. That's how we close the show. We just say, oh, that's it. So that's it. Thanks for joining, John.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right, so get ready, people, because soon enough, and probably within the AM hours, we're going to see a solo review of the Budweiser Amber Lager. Good luck finding it today.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to find it. There are a couple gas stations like within a half mile of my apartment, so I would imagine one of those stores would have it. If not, I can go to the liquor store. And
there is a locator tool on their website now.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it would be up so fast. Well, then I'll do that, and I'm sure I'll be able to find it then.
There is a locator tool. Okay, take care now. See you Wednesday.
Absolutely. I'm excited about that one.
All right. Later.